Welcome back to another episode of Casa De Confidence. Well, I don't even know where to start other than to say that I want to introduce you to two powerhouses, and they have turned a bond, a sisterly bond, into a movement. Amy and Nancy Harrington are the dynamic duo behind the Passionistas Project. And these two are not only storytellers, they're change makers. And that is one of the reasons why not only do I feel so honored, blessed to be a part of their lives, but the admiration and the projects that they're undertaking is something that I continue to have and want to share with you, listener, because you must know Nancy and Amy. They've been on the show before. We'll link it in the show notes. But I want you to know that in a world that can be a dumpster fire, we have change makers that are creating a global sisterhood where women no longer can do the difficult things alone. And isn't that the coolest thing? So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to Nancy and Amy. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, Julie. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It was overdue that you needed to come back to Casa de Confidence. And wow, I look back and I think what a ride it has been being in each other's lives.
Amazing.
Hidden, huh?
All the way back to COVID.
Yeah, and that's how we met. We met during COVID. You were hosting a summit and things come full circle. Now you are hosting another summit, but a lot of things have happened since you and I first met. And if people listened to the first interview before, and if you haven't, I want to encourage you to go and listen after you listen to this one. But both Nancy and Amy, the work that they do is really rooted in creating a space where women can grow their business, expand their power. And to me, that's incredibly special because that's very aligned with what I feel strongly about. And I know that because I have a community like the Passionistas, I can always reconnect with my mission and also connect with the other women who are mission driven women. Now, ladies, I talk about the community. I talk a little bit about your work, but I'd love for each of you to tell me a little bit about working with your sister. I have two sisters, and I don't know if I could work with them.
We
And yeah, how did this all come about?
we are incredibly lucky, and we know that, and we are grateful for it every single day. We talk to women all the time that say that they wish they had what we have, which is why we started the online sisterhood, because we want to share that bond with everyone. But we joke often that we share a brain, because we are 99% aligned in pretty much everything. We very rarely disagree. We only fight if we're traveling and we're hungry.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And even that, I think we figured out a groove with that too. It's been a long time since that's happened.
Snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. That's the key. And we're just incredibly fortunate to be able to work together and to share that bond with the sisterhood.
Yeah. What was the biggest I think accomplishment when it comes to the work that you have done together?
I mean, I think building to this point where we've created this community is definitely the pinnacle of it. We have done a lot together. We've done everything from red carpet interviews at the Emmys to interviewing our hero Jane Goodall to making a tantric sex tape. A tent for a tantric sex tape
Yeah,
video.
we did not
You
make
have a
before
sex
filming.
tape out there?
We left before the filming of the tantric sex, but
Okay.
we built the tent for it. We've done
Nice.
a lot of bizarre things here and there in our career. But building this sisterhood has been the most satisfying. And it's just getting started. It's only been a little over a year, but we are hearing from all the women who are part of it that it really has improved their lives, their businesses, their personal life. We just talked to someone today who moved to a new town. And when she got there, she had an instant friend because she had met a woman through the Passionistas who already lived there. So it's really the highlight of our entire careers, and we know it's our legacy, to build this space where women from all backgrounds can come and feel safe and be themselves and grow and learn from each other in just a beautiful way.
Mhm. I have to say, some of the questions that I want to kind of touch upon will definitely, we have a lot of intersection. And by no means do I want this to be something, oh, look how great Julie is, because Julie is just someone who is a witness to the work that you do. But I know the story of how the Passionistas Project evolved. And now we have the Passionistas Sisterhood. What was the idea? How did it begin to grow? So, for someone that's never heard of you and the work that you're doing, take us back a little bit of how that had came about.
How far back do you want us to go?
Well, start, between
We can
2020 and
literally go back to
yeah.
the day Amy was born if you want. It's a long
Well,
time.
that's a long time, and I don't think I
It's a
have enough
long time.
enough bandwidth on the tape here that we're taping on. But take us back from 2020, right? What were you doing in 2020, and
Right.
how did you get to where you are with now, shifting from some of the things that you were doing to now having a global, thriving membership site where people really bond together in a sisterhood like way?
So in 2020, we were celebrity interviewers. We spent most of our days doing research and editing and doing archival interviews for the Television Academy. We did interviews for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We did interviews for our own website. We did the red carpet at the Emmys every year, and we loved it. It was so much fun.
Mm.
And But we had a little few years earlier, we had, felt like we wanted to do something more important, and we had started a
Mhm.
podcast. So in 2018, we launched our first episode of the podcast. So we had been doing the podcast a couple of years at that point, met a lot of really interesting women, and we thought, let's do a live event in LA. We'll just do an afternoon, get some people together, maybe do a little panel and have a luncheon or something. So we started to plan this live event in Los Angeles. And then March of 2020, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
And we were all stuck in our houses and couldn't do a live event. So
Mhm.
so we pivoted and we were like, well, let's do something online. Everyone
Mhm.
else was doing it. We'll do it too. So we started planning our first Women's Equality Summit, which is how we met you. Because
That's
one
right.
of the things we started to do was put posts on all sorts of speaker websites and
Yeah.
podcasting websites to look for people to speak at the summit. And Julie
Mhm.
answered one of those posts, and we have been friends ever since. And so in 2020, we had our first summit, which was amazing. We had hundreds of women come from all around the world. It's a beautiful thing. It was the anniversary, the 100th anniversary of some women in the United
Mhm.
States getting the right to vote. And so we
Yeah.
decided to make that an annual event, and we did it 3 years in a row.
Mhm.
Got better each year. We massaged it to the point where we started doing these roundtable discussions where we'd have storytellers, would bring women from marginalized communities together to tell their stories, and then we'd have a roundtable discussion. And they were beautiful events. But at the end of every year, the conversation stopped after this.
Mm.
And we're like, well, how do we keep this conversation going?
Yeah.
What do we do? And um, we just felt like we were moving along and doing what was presenting itself to us and not
Mhm.
really making a plan. So we stopped for a little bit. We took a break. We worked with you and several
Mhm.
other coaches, and we rebranded. One of our coaches was Kylie Stone, who's in Australia, and she had us working with right from the beginning. What are your keywords?
Yeah.
What do you want people to think about you? And
Mhm.
we kept saying passion and purpose and diversity and inclusivity and all these beautiful, amazing words that described us. But we kept thinking, like, what's the thing? What's our secret sauce? What are we
Mhm.
not thinking of? And we finally landed on sisterhood.
Yeah.
And that's when we realized that we need to give people what we have. We need to share the bond that we have. And so in March of 2024, we launched the Online Sisterhood. And we had this vision of what it was going to be. which Kylie helped us create. She's like, think ahead 2 years. What do you want your life to look like? And we've created it. Our vision has come to life, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I want to
I
add to
love
that,
that.
though. Can I add to that?
Yeah, add to that,
Because
please.
what I would like to say is, before we came up with the idea for the Sisterhood, and we were working with Kylie, and we were working with Dr. Melissa Bird, we were working with you, and we were really hitting our head against the wall about what was next. And you were the one that said to us, you should create an online community.
Yeah.
And we said, we don't know what that is. And you told us what that was. And you said, check this out. And so we started to look into it. And then that afternoon, you said, my guru is Pat Flynn. So that afternoon, we signed up for Pat Flynn's newsletter. And that afternoon, Pat Flynn sent out an email that said, 3-day community building challenge, free.
That's right.
And we signed up for it. And we won the contest in that challenge. And we settled on our platform because of that challenge. And we got one-on-one time with Pat Flynn because of that challenge. So we would not have an online community if it was not for you. And I just want your listeners to know that you have been the most amazing coach, because you have really helped us see where our skills can help people the most in a way that we didn't know even existed. So I just want to acknowledge that about you.
Very important point that I left out.
Well, you're so kind to say that, and I appreciate that, and I do accept that and own that. I do believe that one of the things that I love to do when I'm working with individuals, because I've been there, right? I love to be able to figure out that intersection, which, we talk about it on the show, is that ikigai, that concept of what are you good at? What do people need? And what is the intersection of everything coming together in your purpose, your mission? And sometimes we feel the world has kind of gotten away from us, and we forget who we are, what we're good at. We think we're good at nothing, and we're not even sure, how to show up in the world. But as we begin to do the work, then what happens is you then change somebody else and help them get to that point. And that's really the purpose of the Confident You community and the work that you're doing, and why I feel that it's important to let the world know. Because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was a lonely woman that had a great corporate career, traveled, lived in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. But on the inside, I was lonely. I was sad. I was in a terrible marriage. And by the way, if you're listening, my ex-husband's a nice guy. But at the same time, it wasn't a fun place, even though we put the facade on that everything is okay. And that's the type of place where I wanted to belong. Not the place where we're catty, or the place where we're trying to keep up, or the place where someone knocks you down. And I think that you've definitely created a space where people can show up just as they are and be loved and shine in that space. So I think it's fabulous. And I love having seen that whole evolution. And props to Pat Flynn, who, every day, I love that I'm getting to talk to him most every day on in Slack lately, because I'm participating in a challenge that he's doing for people that bought his book and got together in the challenge. I have to say, not a lot of people are checking in, but I'm like, I have his ear. I'm gonna check in and get him to help me, and give me his feedback. And I think that coaches need coaches, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm hoping that people can hear about the work that you're doing, because you're connecting people.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know, again, there's been a whirlwind of work that you've been doing since the membership released and since the membership came about. And one of the biggest things that we were working together is getting people to register, getting people to hear about it, getting people to join. Now, you had some goals of how many people you wanted to bring in, and I would come back and say, that's not big enough. Go bigger.
Julie's always pushing us to go bigger.
Yeah, go big or go home, right? But the question for you in that respect is, what is the hardest part of trying to get the word out, and maybe not getting, get the visibility at times, because I think that happens to a lot of women who are either in an entrepreneur world or they're in a space where they're trying to create an impact on the lives of others.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the hardest part is that visibility. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think because everything's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
When we started this, the way to get visibility was to go on social media and do a post, and everybody would like it and share it, and you'd get some visibility. And, when we think back to those posts that we did for the summit, we had hundreds of people
Oh,
respond,
yeah.
hundreds of
Mhm.
people. And now we do something similar, we might get a handful, maybe 10, 12 if we're lucky, it's such a different world. And with everything changing so constantly, it's hard to keep up, and it's hard to know what is the next thing and the right thing to use to get the visibility. And I think, we've been lucky in that we've built a pretty good mailing list. So we have a good built-in audience. And the beautiful thing about the sisterhood is we have an extremely loyal group of women that, follow everything we do. So it's easier to get the word out to them now. But we want to broaden that. And so we still need to get the word out. And frankly, I don't have the answers now. I don't know what the next step is. Have a lot of success with just one-on-one and networking groups and referrals. And that's really most of what we do now to get the word out about sisterhood.
Yeah.
Mm.
Amy, what do you think?
I think one of the beautiful things, and again, Julie DeLucca-Collins advice, we as part of the summit, we're releasing an anthology book, and there are, including us, there are 15 women in the book, and we all have our own unique communities and audiences. But right now, as we're promoting the book, we're also leveraging each other's audiences, which is something you had recommended. And it's a benefit not only for us, but for all the women in the book, because they're getting exposure in all these different communities. And so as these weeks wind down, the digital version of the book, the ebook and the summit launch on August 26th. And as we're approaching that date and more is coming out from all of the Passionistas who are in the book and in the summit about those events, it's amazing to see the spider web of the word spreading around social media. And I've been going every day on Instagram and LinkedIn primarily. And every time I see, oh, Dolly Rivera posted, I was like, oh, Dolly's posting about the book, or Darla Radilia posted, oh my God, Dahlia posted about the book. Darla posted about the book. So, and as people learn about the book, they're learning about all the Passionistas that are in it. So I honestly think, and this is, one of the other elements of the community is we have Power Passionistas, who are our resident experts. It's a group of women who are positioned as the kind of thought leaders within the community. And as we talk about them, as we promote them, as they promote the sisterhood, we're able to spread the word about each other in a way that is really organic. It's to a targeted audience because we're all looking to talk to women who are mostly in transformation, who are mostly entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. And so we're building our own ecosystem that is actually more powerful than spreading out the word to a gazillion people on Facebook who aren't going to see your message and who the message isn't going to resonate with. It's like targeting this smaller, really focused audience is really benefiting everybody. So I just think that's the wave of the future for marketing is like finding your people and building ecosystems where you're buying from each other, where you're supporting each other's businesses so that you're not, I'd rather buy coffee from a woman in the sisterhood than Starbucks.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I will tell you, the creator economy, right? I was just reading something to this effect that the creator economy, I don't know, it's in the billions of what they're expecting. But many of the brands are actually big brands, are putting their money not in the major influencers with millions of followers. They're really investing in partnering with micro and nano influencers because someone that has a community, like for instance, you two, people are committed to you, committed to your mission, committed to being a part of that sisterhood. And what better captive audience can a brand have than someone that is already giving them sort of that nod of approval because the audience members already trust the nano or the micro influencer. And I think that that's really one of the ways in which we can grow together is by allowing each other to not only leverage each other's audiences like we're doing with the book, but also to being able to say, I vetted them. I know what that's about. And yeah, this gets my thumbs up.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. The book is called Awakening Your Power.
Mhm.
As someone who has felt powerful and really not powerful at all, and men, depending on the day, right? Um, I know what inspired you, but I'd love for you to share a little bit with our friend who is listening. What inspired you to create it, and why now? Specifically, because we live in a world that power is really something that people are always talking about. Like, I want it, and you're powerful, but this is not the slant that we're coming to this from, right?
Right. Yes. Well, once again, somebody, I don't know who, suggested that we think about doing an anthology book. And it was another one of those duh moments, because the whole, this
That
whole
somebody is
sisterhood.
Julie DeLucca-Collins, by
Oh
the way.
boy.
In case
Hey,
you
she
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
didn't see
not paying them for this.
um, but it came about because at the very heart of everything we do in the Passionistas Project, it's about telling women's stories and telling
Mhm,
the stories of women whose voices are not heard, whose voices are silenced. And that is happening more and more and more.
mhm.
And we're going in the wrong direction. So,
Yeah.
this is the perfect time for these stories to be told. And, so, yeah, we wanted to just gather a group of women together to tell stories about the moment that they stepped into their power and took their power back or discovered their power, that they conquered a fear, that they left a bad situation, that they stood up to somebody that they were afraid of. And it's a beautiful collection of stories that range from really, really funny, light things about discovering a love for movies to, people who left abusive relationships and everything
Right.
in between. And it's just an absolutely gorgeous collection of inspiring stories that every single person can relate to on one level or another, and then everyone who reads this book will walk away thinking, if she did that, I can do it too.
Oh, love that. Yeah. I wish I had my little pom pom. I don't know where that went, somewhere along the line. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that that's why the spaces where we can share the power of the journey with somebody else will hopefully not only tell that person I can do it, but also give them some of the breadcrumbs, right? That sometimes we seem to miss in the world. And that is powerful. Now I've seen a lot of people, of course, we're in personal development and the coaching industry, and there's some incredible collaborations. I've seen many of them, but I've also seen these collaborations that are just bringing people into the book. And you did the collaboration, putting together this anthology very differently. And this is one of the things that I loved, right? Because as you said, yes, I put the bug in your ear, you executed. And by the way, you're awesome at executing. I love that about you. And these are my favorite people to work with, right? The people who are dreamers and the people who then execute, because that's the piece, right? But you decided to do it in a different way from what the standard is. And you build this whole co creation in a way that was aligned with who you are, what your values are. And you created, I would say, a container where we are not just, submitting you a story and, oh, here's my book, right? I wrote a book. Yay. But it's really more than that. Can you walk me through the process, Amy?
Yeah. So when you first suggested to us, I think you should write an anthology book, we cringed. We were like, oh, why did we have that reaction? And
You cringe a lot when I say certain things.
we do. We're cringers. Ask Dr. Bird,
It's
too.
all good. It's all
Yeah, we
good.
need a minute to digest. We're Boston girls. We're suspicious in the first few minutes, and then we have to warm to something.
Yep. Totally get it.
But no, we were like, why are we having this reaction? And we agree. There are some amazing anthology books out there and amazing people who put them together. So this is not a takedown of the concept. But the ones we had been more aware of were the kind where you paid a lot of money and just wrote something on your own and turned it in. And we wanted to make sure, as with everything we do, that there was something we were giving back to the people who were making this investment beyond just the platform to tell their story. So for us, it became about what skills can we bring to the table that will make this a better experience?
Yeah.
And to us, our greatest skill really is interviewing. We've done over 1,600 interviews, and we've interviewed some of the biggest people you could imagine. We've interviewed Jane Goodall and produced interviews with Mick Jagger, and like we have been lucky enough to be on a very high level in that world. And so we thought, well, what we can offer is helping the women who don't think they have a story to tell, or who are terrified of sitting down in front of a screen, a blank screen, and figuring out how to type that first word. We can help them do that. So what we decided to do was we interview every woman that's a part of the book. We help her figure out what her story is, and then we interview her about that story so that she does, we start by saying, tell us what story you want to tell us. So she kind of gets it in her own words. And then we ask questions about it. And we found with a lot of women that the story, like you're a perfect example, you came in ready to tell a particular story.
That's right.
And by the time we were done, you told it was an element of your story, but it became the story.
Yeah.
That happened with a lot of women. It was like, your story isn't about your business collapsing. It's about how you went to therapy and really conquered this societal image of what going to therapy in your, from your heritage looked like, and really transformed your life. So we really opened everybody up to what their story really was, to help them tap into something much deeper than they maybe initially were intending to talk about, and made it easier because now they have the transcript and they have a video and they have their blueprint for writing their story. It's not even just an outline, like they've said it. And our whole thing with people is like, you don't need to write like you're a poet or pick flowery language. Say it in your voice. That's what people want to hear. So now they have them saying it in their own voice. So that really helped a lot of people. And then we gave them as much time as they needed to, oh, you need to hop on another call and talk it through. Let's do it. And we read every draft ourselves. We gave notes back. We really put thought into the editing of it and suggesting things. When we finally settled with the author on their story and what we all agreed was the version of it, we sent that to our proofreader and editor, Karen Herman, who used to run the Television Academy Foundation interview program and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And she went through and did a pass. So it had expert proofreading and another level of storytelling eyes. And then we sent it back and said, here's what we think your story is. Do you agree? And everybody said yes. So, and then from there, we also recorded everybody. So we said, okay, now we need your video for the summit. You don't just have to send one in. We're going to get on with you, and we're going to be there for you when you record, and we're going to cheer you on, and we're going to give you suggestions. And, we helped everybody do that. That we edited the stories after the fact so that their presentations are as slick as they can be. And
Mhm.
and that will be used not only for the summit, but for an audiobook version. So at the end of the day, all the authors are walking away with this experience of having worked with us,
Mhm.
um, an ebook, an audiobook, a soft cover version, a hardcover version, and the speaking in the summit. So their story will be shown, their story video will be shown in the summit, and they'll be part of a panel. And then
Wow.
there was one other element of it that I've forgotten. There's
We also took them through a storyteller workshop.
workshop.
So
That's right.
there was a weekly 6-week workshop, where we got together, we spoke about a different element, a different part of the process, and we're there to answer questions and get feedback. So it was a really, really special part because all the authors got to know each other a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they've all actually said that's been really important to them, like the connections they made with the other authors.
Mhm.
And hearing each other's stories, like, some of the women were intimidated when they met some of the women who were in the book, and then they realized, like, "Oh, my story is as valid as them," so it really boosted
Yeah. Yeah.
their confidence, and also we've had women come back and say, "Because of what I did with you, I have now
Mhm.
completely refined my branding and my messaging for my business, or I've decided that I need to pivot in my business and do this instead because I realized that, like, this is really what my path is had some profound impact on people beyond just having written the
Yeah.
story. So it's great.
Well, the teacher in me loves the part that, again, right? And everybody comes to it differently. Everybody that has put together a collaboration will put their own spin into it. And for me, it's that scaffolded approach, right? It is I am not doing this alone. And I'm uncertain because maybe this is the first time that I'm going through this process. But really, again, just like we would with a sister, it's like, what do you think of that? Like, is this it? Or someone that can mirror back to you and say, what about this? You're forgetting this. And that's really the beauty of the book. And really the way that you've approached with the storyteller workshops, with having everybody tell their story. And of course, tying it into a summit where people can get the book, but also be present and ask the questions and find from the women, like, tell me more. And sometimes we don't have enough space where we can ask of the people that we hear about or read from, right? Tell me more. And that's again a wraparound approach that I think is beautiful.
The other thing that's cool is we've now had 2 of the women, and 2 of the women who were in the book, and one of the woman a woman who's really close, who wanted to be in the book and just couldn't because of work. We've told them that our next phase is that we wanna then expand this to helping people write their entire stories, their
Yeah.
memoirs,
Oh,
and
good.
3 women have already said, "Oh, when you're ready, let me know because I would love to talk to you about that."
Oh, I know what we're coaching on next. Yay.
Mhm.
That's next
So
step.
it's nice to know that we
Yeah.
will be able to help women on another level
Mhm.
expand their stories,
Yeah.
and reach more people and help more people because they'll get the full picture. So
Yeah, I wanted to know. I know many of the women, and I have such respect and love for all of them. And I am excited to read more about some of the women that I don't know as well, right? And I would imagine that there's different things that came out that might have not only moved you, but surprised you. What would be one of those things that maybe surprised you the most?
Mm. Oh my goodness.
good question.
I think one of the most surprising, I knew this before she told her story, but hearing the details of it just was mind-blowing to me, was, Dolly Rivera,
Mm,
who Dolly, if anyone, some of you may know her, I believe you've had her on your podcast
of
before.
course.
Dolly is a beautiful, beautiful woman, and tiny, gentle,
Yeah.
loving person, and Her story is about when she was a drill sergeant in the Army, which in and of itself is mind-blowing. Like, just you say, "What now?" And her story is about standing up to one of her superiors, and it's a beautiful, really, really vulnerable story because it also ties back to her childhood and the difficult time she had in her childhood. So, to me, that was the most surprising, and especially because when she started the workshop, she told us that one of her grade school teachers told her she wasn't a good writer,
Wow.
and she has carried that with her whole life and thought she wasn't a good writer,
Mhm.
and we helped her prove that she is indeed
Oh,
amazing writer, and her story is one of the best in the book, I think,
yeah.
so,
You help her rewrite her story, and pun intended.
yeah.
And I think that that's the beauty of opportunities like this.
Mhm.
That again, you're going to see some patterns obviously emerge as you're giving someone a platform. Now, I believe that these are the stories that every woman needs to hear.
Mhm.
And storytelling is an art. It's something that can be acquired as a skill, but it's really important now for women and change makers. Why do you agree with me, or is there do you have a different opinion? And tell me, why do you feel that it might be important for us to tell our stories,
Mhm.
especially if we're a woman, especially if we're a change maker?
I think it's 100% accurate, and it's funny because this is how I was gonna answer the last question too, really, which is, for me, the most surprising thing was how challenging I found certain elements of the book when I read it.
Mhm.
Certain language that people used or certain topics that are sensitive topics that I'm not 100%, like, I haven't experienced it, so I'm not 100% comfortable. We're raised a certain way, things we talk about,
Yeah.
things words that we use and things that we say, and, um, I found it challenging. I found certain things like, "Ooh, how are people gonna respond to that?" Or, "Ooh, is there gonna be reaction to the way that person said that thing?" But we have built a community and a brand and a movement based on letting women tell their stories the way they need to tell them,
Mhm.
the language they need to use, the, breaking of the societal norms that we have all become accustomed to, so that we can learn about that experience in the most authentic way possible, not filtered through my version of their
Mhm.
experience,
Yeah.
not filtered through your version of their experience. So, what I find, what surprised me as a reader of the book, and what I think is so critical, why this book is so critical now and what makes it so different from other anthology books, is because it's a diverse group of women, because they're talking about really important, really personal things. This book is challenging in a lot of ways. And there's no time in the history of our lives that it is more important for us to be listening to those challenging things than right
Mhm.
now.
No greater opportunity than to be a bridge builder than
Mm,
by allowing people to speak
yeah.
their message, their mind, their experience. And I think that a lot of the times that we avoid the uncomfortable, we avoid it because, we want to be peacemakers, but that is actually creating more of these divides. And it's, and I've seen it, right? I know that I've been guilty of that from time to time. And I talk about it in our story. Sometimes you don't talk about the thing because you're afraid to discuss it, because you don't want to, ruffle feathers, or you don't want to, um, oh, that doesn't belong here. It's, that conversation is not for polite company, right? Like, as some people may refer. But the reality is that I need to be able to hear you when you are in the other side of the aisle and the other side of the bridge, and really see beyond the thing, but see you as a person, and really be able to find the empathy for that person as a human, and then know that my experience might be different from theirs. But their feelings, their story, their power is still just as important as somebody else's, especially mine. And that's the thing that I am hoping that through the people who read this, they will know, right? Like, it's okay. Let's create the bridge. Let's build these bridges where we talk despite the discomfort and not avoid, because that's the thing that we should be doing, right? Because that doesn't create peace. It actually, you're sweeping things under the rug, and that's dirty. To say the
Ignore
least.
it, it'll go away,
Yeah.
right? If we don't pay attention to it. And that is the foundation of the book and all of the summits we've done in this summit is the idea of hearing one another's stories and hearing what we have in common that we didn't realize we have in common and celebrating those things that make us different. And that is really at the heart of what we try to do in the Passionistas Project, and especially in our summits. That's really the foundation of the summits.
Yeah,
And we had a
100%.
revelation this weekend, even when we were at an event. That was really great. And with actually with our charitable partner, which is She Angels Foundation, which is a organization run by Carrie Williams, co-created by her and Catherine Gray. And they give grants to women-founded and women-centric 501c3s. And we were at an event and we were talking to somebody about the Passionistas Project. And we realized that one of the things we always say what makes us different is that we built a community where marginalized women feel accepted. And this weekend we were like, that's not actually accurate. What we've built is a community where women from marginalized communities are leading each other.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was like, wow, how did we not realize that before? Like, that's really, we didn't build an online community like so many others where there's a guru at the top.
Yeah.
Everybody follows the rule of that person.
Yeah.
We built a circle on a platform called Circle.
I love that.
Thanks to Julie. That was always meant to be women learning from each other.
Yeah.
We built a space where women from marginalized communities, whether that's Black women or women with disabilities or Latino women or women over 50, whatever the LGBTQ women, we built it so that they all felt welcome. But once we all got there, it was like, oh, what do you know? What can I learn from you? And the women have become, as was always the plan, the center of the conversation. They're leading the workshops. They have the shows on Passionistas TV. It's their podcasts that are in the network. And it's like and at the same time, we don't expect any one person from any of those communities to be the expert that teaches all of us everything about what it's like to have an experience as an AAPI woman. But it gives us an insight into one person's experience within that community. And so it's like, oh, we didn't, the wording of it didn't click till this weekend, like the power of it. Like, we didn't build it just for them to come. We built it for them to lead, and they are leading.
Yeah.
And the book is an extension of that.
It.
We're learning so much from everybody in the book. And so many of those communities are represented in Indigenous and LGBTQ and beyond, So it was a huge revelation to us 3 days ago,
I have to say that I would be remiss if I didn't say, if we had sat down and really engineered what you have, it would have never happened. And this goes back to build it before you're ready and take the step, because as you're building it, things crystallize. And that's for a business, that's for a habit, that's for anything that you're really passionate about. Build it before you're ready, because you're going to find that there's never the right time. And as, again, you're doing it, you will find the people, the resources, the knowledge within yourself to see that what you build is even better than anything you could have mapped out.
Yeah, and plus, like, the carpenter will show up and go, "Oh, you should use this kind of wood," and
Right?
the plumber will show up and be like, "This pipe is the best pipe," and it's like, if we had
Right.
just, like, stuck to this rigid vision
Mhm.
we had, I mean, it's definitely the broad strokes of our vision,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right.
but the how it's unfolded is unfolded because we've been listening to everybody.
Yeah.
The core people that are the people that are
Mhm.
getting the most out of it are giving
Mhm.
back the most, and we're learning the most from them, and we're building it to suit their needs,
Mhm.
and we wouldn't have known what materials to use to
Yeah.
construct it without them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't have built it to code if it weren't for everybody coming alongside you, right?
It would have been
That's
a
why we need the
long
subcontractors as we build.
structure,
Uh,
for sure.
um, what is a moment, and I know, we often talk about the work that we do, and I really firmly believe that we also take ourselves wherever we go. And it's important for the people that are listening to our message and they're seeing the work that we do, that they know a little bit more about us, right? Than what we may curate. But what is a moment in your own lives that really woke you up or awaken in you that power? And how did you come into that power?
I've been sharing this story a lot lately, in that during our journey of building this new latest carnation with the 3 coaches, one of our coaches, Kylie Stone, was talking to us about leadership, and I was like, "I'm not a leader." I've been a solopreneur pretty much my whole life. I've never had a staff. I don't speak in front of people. Like, I don't picture myself as
Yet.
and she was like, "Say what now?" And I've come to this realization that I am a leader, and that it was it was actually a kind of a bitter hard pill for me to swallow, because I am a shy introverted person, and it's like, no, I'm a behind the scenes person. I don't want my face out there. I don't want to be the center of anything. I just want to give people the platform and let them do their thing. And it's like, no, you need to be the leader, and you need to set the tone for this
Mhm.
community, and we have done that.
Yeah.
And, I'm proud of that. I'm really proud that I stepped into that role and took my power and have built this beautiful community.
Yeah. So good. What
Mhm.
about you, Amy?
Um, I have always been a super emotional person, um,
Mhm.
and so when I stepped into the corporate world, it was like, "Toughen up, kid. You're one of the guys now." And I had to really suck it up and build as much of
Mhm.
a wall as I could, at least publicly. I would go in my office and do the Holly Hunter and broadcast news, and I
Yep.
would cry and get it out of my system, and then I'd go back out. Um, but I had to, like, just be like, try and be a brick wall when I, was in the more kind of male-dominated world of studio executive.
Mhm.
And, and also it was a very competitive, environment, and I didn't necessarily fit into it because I was often the only woman in high-powered meetings, or one of the only women in high-powered meetings, and so I really just built up like a tried to build kind of a bulletproof suit around me, and,
Mm.
I it took a long time for me to become collaborative and vulnerable, and the vulnerability within the sisterhood, I feel like Nancy and I both, to a certain degree, because we're also shy, we were cautious about how much we shared about ourselves and our emotions in the community. But when the fires happened in LA in January, and we fortunately were not immediately
Mhm.
affected by the fires, but it was a very difficult time to be in the city where for 2 weeks, every day, there was another fire burning
Mm.
within miles of our homes, and the city was burning down, and so many people we knew were losing their houses and their
Mm.
livelihoods. And we were really super vulnerable about it in the community and really just let everybody know every day kind of what was going on because people were curious, but also how we were feeling. And I think ever since that day, people have been comfortable being more vulnerable in the sisterhood.
Yeah.
And so getting to that place where we felt comfortable, like it's okay for us. We're supposed to be the leader. To me, being a leader meant you had to like act like everything was in control all the
Oh,
time.
no.
And because that's what we learn though when we're
Right.
in
That's what we learn.
environments, like, and don't let them see you sweat. Don't let them know there's a crack because they're
Mhm.
gonna start drive the knife through the crack.
That's right.
And to know that being vulnerable is a superpower within a community like ours because it lets other people be vulnerable. It lets people step up and offer you help when you need it, which people like to do. They like helping. Um, I feel like it just shifted everything to like a completely different level. Like it was going well up until that point, and now it's like, oh, we can say we're having a hard time too. We can share what's scaring us. And so I think being vulnerable and really allowing that to be a positive
Mhm. Yeah.
has been the big shift.
I love that shift. So good. And I think that there's someone listening that is probably thinking, you mean I don't have to hold it together? Right? And yeah, I could totally identify with that. We are told, especially women in a corporate environment, don't let them see you sweat, don't cry, don't get too emotional, stay above the fray.
Yep.
And it goes against a lot of our makeup as a woman. We are empathetic. We are people who want to collaborate. We are going to, have our off days because our hormones are coming up.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's a wonderful lesson. Thank you for sharing that. We could talk all night. But I want to bring it back to the book. I want to bring it back to the summit. And we've talked about Power Passionistas, the sisterhood, and the storyteller workshops, and how you're helping individuals then be a part of the book. And we can talk and share more of that information. But more importantly, the summit is coming. I'm so excited. It's like my highlight of the summer. What do you want people to know about the summit, and tell us more of the details on the book?
So the summit is like the book on steroids.
Yes.
Because
Right.
what we're doing is it's 3 days. It's August
Mhm.
26th through 28th. Each of the 3 days, we have a panel made up of authors from the book. So, the panel will begin by everybody watching the video stories that the women have told, and then we'll do
Mhm.
a roundtable after that, after just having heard these stories, a beautiful discussion about their stories, and again, the common
Mhm.
themes, things that make us different, and they're always really beautiful conversations. So we're
Mhm.
so excited about those. And then in addition to that, in the summit, we have every afternoon, we have 2 other presentations that range from building a business for someone who has ADHD and
Mhm.
what those challenges are and the tools that you need to do that, to what's another one? A woman who is telling us about race relations through the eyes of Hattie McDaniel, an actress from the 20s who was in Gone with the Wind. Broad range of stories. And then we have
Mhm.
3 evening events, one each evening. The first evening, we are showing Jennifer Kaufman's documentary called
Mhm.
There's Got to Be More to Life. And it's about her journey of healing after surviving the Boston Marathon bombings.
Mhm.
Um, the second
Powerful.
the second
Really powerful.
evening, yeah, very powerful. The second evening, we're actually having a virtual pajama party so that all of the
Mm.
storytellers, all of the authors, all of the presenters, and all of the attendees can come together in one virtual lounge and
Love
hang
it.
out and, talk about the stories and talk about their
Mhm.
lives and just be sisters.
Ooh, so fun.
And
I
then,
love pajama parties.
yeah. And then the final night is our Passionistas Persist Awards, which always end our summits.
Mhm.
And this year we are giving the awards to Cara Reedy, who is a disability activist, and she has a organization that works with disabled people in the media and journalists. And then we are giving the Icon Award to celebrity chef Susan Feniger, who
Good.
is basically the Julia Childs of our generation and an amazing humanitarian who gives back in many, many ways to both the Scleroderma Research Foundation as well as the LGBTQ community, in particular in Los Angeles, where she helped build a brand new state-of-the-art kitchen at the LGBTQ Center so that LGBTQ youth can come and learn to cook and
Mhm.
get into the restaurant field. So she's an
Amazing.
amazing woman and one of our heroes.
And I'd like
Oh.
to add the Passionistas Persist Awards are happening thanks to the generous donations of our sponsors, Casa De Confidence Productions and Be Humanitarian.
Be Humanitarian is another one of my favorite organizations. They do
Toby
such
Spears.
amazing work.
Yes.
Toby
Um,
Spears leads these mission-driven trips to Guatemala,
mhm.
and it's an amazing organization. And Casa de Confidence is also an excellent company for those people who are listening who want to build up their podcast presence.
Well, you
The
know,
Confidence Productions.
that producer of the Casa de Confidence show is amazing, and I don't
quite a
know,
guy.
you know, people need to. I sometimes I'm in awe of the work that he does. So fun. I again so thrilled that you're here. I know that this has been a labor of love, and it has been just an undertaking that was uncertain at times, but your commitment, your perseverance, your love for the women and for the stories and for bringing something to the world is incredible and so apparent in everything that you do. Now, if people are listening, let's be action takers. I want to encourage you to get a ticket to the summit. Also, get the book. We're going to have that on the show notes. But what are other ways? And if someone says, "Hey, I want to be in a book," um, how do they get involved? And what is this larger movement? And how do people connect?
Yeah, we will be doing this again next year. It's a cycle. As soon as this
Mhm.
summit is over, we start planning the next book and we start taking people to sign up for the next book, be in the next storyteller workshop, and be in the book in the summit next year. So anyone who wants to get in touch with us, the easiest way to do that is go to thepassionistasproject.com, and you can get links to all our social pages, get links to the Sisterhood to sign up. You can do a free level before you sign up for the premium level if you want to dip your toe in the water first. But there's all the ways to get in touch with us are right there on our website, thepassionistasproject.com.
Oh, good. So good. Amy, anything that you want to bring us home with?
Just that if you're out there and you're feeling lonely, overwhelmed, scared, whatever the things are, you don't have to feel alone. You have a community worth of sisters that are dying to support you, that love meeting new women, love helping each other, and are just the best-hearted people that you'll find around the world. They're all over the world. So, please come and join us. It's real. It's not a made up thing. This is really happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Casa de Confidence podcast and for being staples in my life and people who I can do life with, right? A community, connection, service. These are things that are important to me, and I know that they're important to you as well. And thank you for helping those who maybe felt afraid of sharing their voice, not only share their voice, but come into their power. So I'm having so much fun with this. Thank you, my friends, for listening. And if you are really interested in not only finding community, but really listening to these incredible stories, come to the summit, get the book. We're going to have all the information. Go to my profiles and Again, if you're on my email list, you're going to be getting information about it. But I'm so happy that this is sort of the fruition of a lot of commitment and hard work on the part of the Passionistas. So thank you, everyone. And until next time, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.